So I have case 10. Case 10 is about a golden visa policy in the United States. More specifically, in this case, it is putting forward a case where the United States has a way for foreigners to gain permanent residency and even citizenship through just paying $5 million. That's the number they use. But it's just, in general, a lot of money. It doesn't have to be 5 million, it can be 4 million, it can be 6 million, just in general, a lot of money. It mentions how this has been used in some other countries and how in those countries it often leads to getting immigrants that end up helping the country rather than end up putting a strain on its social programs. The main moral aspect here is one, is it okay to let people pay to become a citizen of your country? What does being a citizen of your country mean? Two, within that, what level of background check, what level of other aspects go into it? If Pablo Escobar in the 80s could have paid $5 million to become a US citizen, would we have allowed him? I fully disagree with any program in which you pay and receive citizenship. Of course, there is always going to be financial hurdles to becoming a citizen of any country. You need a lawyer, you need transportation to get to things. There is going to be financial hurdles, but to treat citizenship like a product, like a thing that can be sold, is a very slippery slope. I also challenge the idea that bringing in rich investors to a country necessarily helps the country's people. We see this in countries like Spain, where a lot of rich foreign investors have gone in, gained citizenship, and that citizenship has allowed them access to real estate that they would have otherwise not had access to. That real estate was then bought up and turned into an Airbnb or turned into a beach house. And now there is a serious crisis of housing in Spain, and it is due to these rich investors who came in and turned single family homes into tourist attractions. A person who is for the golden visa policy could point to things like in Saudi Arabia, where as rich investors have came into the country, the quality of life has gone up and the cost of living index has gone down, while wages remain pretty much the same and in some cases even going up. That is true, that has happened. However, that was due to those investors coming in and doing absolutely 100% necessary things that a country needs. When Saudi Arabia started the program of allowing rich investors to become Saudi Arabian citizens, they were not a very well oiled machine when it came to being a country. There was a lot of things that needed to be done, and while they had a lot of money, they simply did not have the means. But with those investors, a lot of things ended up being done in the country that ended up causing those quality of life and those to go up and the cost of living index to go down. The United States does not need those things. In Chapter 5, we read about feminist care ethics, and feminist care ethics argues that the relationship between for example, mother and son change what the objective moral action would be in situations. An example is if somebody was shooting at somebody who you did not know, it would not be morally wrong to not jump in front of the bullet. However, if you are a mother or a father and it is your son, that changes it a little bit. I believe the same logic can be implied to the citizenship of a country, depending on whether or not you fought through the immigration system or you were born to this country, or whether you just put in the money, made your investment, and now you're expecting a return. In Chapter 7, we read about moral intuition. And here, your intuition is telling you that buying citizenship is bad, that buying a title that allows you rights that you otherwise would not have, and the only difference between having those rights and not having those rights is having a lot of money, that is a thing that a sane person will see and see is bad. based off the concept of fairness and equality amongst social classes.